All right, you ready to get into the shitstorm that was the 2022 World Cup?
You know what? Let's dive in.
We're not talking about the games themselves, more like the absolute clusterfuck of controversy surrounding this whole thing.
Oh, yeah. This one was a doozy.
We've got a mountain of sources here, articles, reports, leaked documents, you name it. And it's all pretty damning, let me tell you.
It's not looking good for FIFA, is it?
Not at all. We're talking bribery, human rights violations, cultural clashes, the whole 9 yards. You've seen this all before. How fucked up was this World Cup compared to others?
Well, it's fascinating how this World Cup managed to piss off pretty much everyone, from human rights groups to soccer moms.
Yeah, no kidding.
It wasn't just your typical pre-tournament drama. This was a whole new level of clusterfuck.
Yeah, you had everyone from politicians to rock stars calling for a boycott before the first whistle even blew.
And for good reason, too.
So let's just cut the crap and start with the elephant in the room. How the hell did Qatar even land this thing in the first place?
Well, the bidding process for the 2022 World Cup was about as transparent as a brick wall.
One guess, corruption.
Corruption with a capital C. Allegations started swirling almost immediately.
Okay, let's unpack this. What kind of shady shit went down? Give us the juicy details.
Think backroom deals, secret payments, FIFA officials with their hands in the cookie jar.
Sounds about right.
Leaked documents hinted that Qatari officials might have greased some palms with millions of dollars to secure votes.
So basically, straight up cash for votes. Sounds about right for FIFA. Those asshats are always up to some shady shit.
It gets even juicier. There were allegations of secret deals between Al Jazeera, Qatar's state-run media outlet, and FIFA.
Al Jazeera? Those guys are supposed to be journalists, right? Guess everyone has a price.
Apparently, they offered a hefty sum for broadcasting rights weeks before the vote, with a nice little bonus if Qatar won the bid. Talk about a conflict of interest.
So FIFA basically sold the World Cup to the highest bidder. What a surprise. But let's not forget the big names caught up in this mess. Who are we talking about?
Investigations zeroed in on Mohammed bin Hammam, the former president of the Asian Football Confederation.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
And Michel Platini, the former UEFA president. Both were accused of receiving bribes from Qatar.
So we've got alleged bribes, backroom deals, and high-ranking officials under investigation. This is starting to sound like a goddamn John Grisham novel.
Of course, FIFA had to pretend they were taking this seriously. So they commissioned the Garcia report to investigate, but guess what?
They swept it under the rug.
Pretty much. While it failed to prove outright corruption, it did acknowledge questionable conduct during the bidding process.
Questionable conduct. That's a load of bullshit. It was a fucking free-for-all. But let's move on to something even more fucked up. Qatar's treatment of migrant workers. That's where things get really dark.
Absolutely. The kafala system, which was in place in Qatar at the time, essentially gave employers total control over migrant workers.
So they were basically slaves.
It left them wide open to exploitation and abuse. It's a system designed to keep workers trapped and powerless.
We're talking about people dying to build fancy stadiums for this tournament. It's fucking disgusting.
Reports were surfacing of horrific working conditions, unexplained worker deaths, and wages being withheld.
That's awful.
The international community was rightfully outraged and started putting pressure on Qatar to reform its labor laws.
Yeah, they were getting roasted in the press. Did they actually change anything, or was it all just for show?
Well, some changes were made leading up to the World Cup. But many argue they were just cosmetic, a PR stunt to silence the critics. The core issues remained.
Classic FIFA talk, a big game, but don't actually do shit. So is this debate still going on?
Whether it was genuine reform or just a facade, the debate continues.
It's hard to trust anything those asshats say. Their track record is pretty damn shitty. But let's not forget another major controversy, Qatar's stance on LGBTQ+ rights.
Right. Homosexuality is illegal in Qatar, and there were serious concerns about the safety of LGBTQ+ fans and players during the tournament.
So they invite the world to this massive party. But a huge chunk of the guests could get arrested for just being themselves. What a bunch of backward-ass motherfuckers.
There were several incidents that highlighted these concerns. Security officials were confiscating rainbow flags and clothing from fans like they were contraband or something.
Seriously. They were that scared of a little bit of color. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
And remember American journalist Grant Wall? He got detained for wearing a rainbow shirt.
Yeah, what a bunch of intolerant pricks. It's lucky for them that Wall didn't rip them a new one in the media. And then there's that whole armband debacle.
You mean FIFA's cowardly move to ban captains from wearing rainbow armbands?
Yeah.
It was a last-minute decision that reeked of FIFA caving to pressure from Qatar. It was a complete betrayal of their supposed commitment to inclusivity.
Inclusivity, my ass. FIFA showed their true colors as usual. They're nothing but a corrupt, morally bankrupt organization, and this whole armband debacle just proved it.
It definitely didn't help their image.
Now let's talk about something that really pissed off a lot of people, this scheduling debacle.
Yes. FIFA's brilliant idea to move the World Cup to November and December to avoid Qatar's scorching summer heat.
It was a logistical nightmare. Talk about a clusterfuck.
It sent shockwaves through the entire soccer world.
This move completely screwed up European league schedules. Their seasons are usually in full swing during those months.
Right. And the Premier League was not happy. They're like the 800-pound gorilla of soccer leagues, and they weren't about to let FIFA push them around.
I can imagine.
They, along with other organizations, threatened legal action.
You don't mess with the Premier League's money. FIFA probably shit their pants when they heard about that.
The ripple effect was felt everywhere. Other tournaments like the Africa Cup of Nations had to be rescheduled to accommodate this bullshit,
causing even more disruption. So basically, FIFA threw the entire soccer calendar into chaos because Qatar couldn't handle a little bit of summer heat. What a bunch of clowns. Now let's get to the good stuff. Tell me about the cultural clashes between Qatar and the West. I'm talking about the juicy stuff, the shit that really got people riled up.
Well, the differences in cultural norms and values led to a whole host of controversies. Alcohol restrictions were a big one.
Wait, so you're telling me they held a massive international party where you couldn't even get a beer? What kind of bullshit is that?
Public consumption of alcohol is generally forbidden in Qatar, which didn't sit well with many Western fans.
I can imagine.
It was a huge point of contention. Many Western fans saw it as an infringement on their freedom, and they questioned why the hell FIFA awarded the World Cup to Qatar in the first place.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's not like anyone was surprised by Qatar's strict laws. They were upfront about it from the get-go. But I guess FIFA thought they could just sweep it under the rug and hope for the best.
There were also some incidents involving Israeli fans and reporters that exposed the complex geopolitical realities of the region.
What happened with the Israelis?
There were reports of Israeli fans being harassed and threatened by other fans.
You're kidding?
Some were even told to hide their Israeli identity for their own safety.
That's fucked up. You go to a supposedly global sporting event, and you can't even rep your country without fearing for your safety. What a fucking joke.
These incidents were a stark reminder of the deep-seated tensions in the region and the challenges of hosting such a diverse event in a country with such strict social and political norms.
All right, so we've covered the corruption, the human rights abuses, the cultural clashes. But let's not forget what this is all supposed to be about, the fucking games. Surely there were some juicy controversies that went down on the pitch, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And we're just getting started.
Hit me with it. What kind of shit went down?
Welcome back to this deep dive.
Yeah.
You know, we're knee-deep in the shit that was the 2022 World Cup.
We've covered the corruption, the human rights abuses, the cultural clashes. But let's get to the main event. The fucking games themselves. There had to be some on-field drama that went down right. Oh, absolutely. The tournament was a powder keg of tension, and a few matches really exploded.
All right, give me the highlights. What were some of the most controversial moments on the pitch?
Let's start with the Group G match between Serbia and Switzerland. It was more than just a soccer game. It was a political clash waiting to happen.
I'm listening. What went down?
Swiss midfielder Granic Xhaka, who's of Albanian descent, basically flipped off the Serbian players during the match. Talk about adding fuel to the fire.
Damn, that's a bold move. What was the backstory there?
The gesture was seen as a direct provocation considering the historical tensions between Serbia and Kosovo, which has a large Albanian population. It was a powder keg waiting to explode, and Xhaka lit the fuse.
So it was a political statement disguised as a soccer move. Pretty ballsy, if you ask me.
And it didn't stop there. To rub salt in the wound, Xhaka celebrated Switzerland's victory wearing a jersey with the name Jashari on it.
Jashari? Who the hell is that? Fill me in.
Adam Jashari was a founder of the Kosovo Liberation Army, which fought for Kosovan independence from Serbia. He's a hero to Albanians, but considered a terrorist by Serbs.
Ah, I see. So Xhaka was basically giving Serbia the middle finger.
You got it.
Yeah.
The incident caused a shitstorm. Serbian fans and media went ballistic, accusing Xhaka of inciting hatred and glorifying terrorism.
Sounds about right.
FIFA had to step in and opened a disciplinary proceeding against Serbia for various offenses during the match.
Let me guess. Misconduct of players and discrimination.
You got it.
Sounds like that game was a total shit show. But hey, at least it was entertaining, right? What other controversies spiced things up on the pitch?
Well, how about the Group F match between Croatia and Canada? Things got pretty ugly there, too.
Okay, I'm all ears. What happened?
Croatian fans decided to target Canadian goalkeeper Milan Borjan, who is an ethnic Serb. They hit him with some seriously nasty xenophobic chants and even displayed a banner referencing Operation Storm.
Operation Storm. I'm familiar with that one. What's the deal?
It was a Croatian military operation during the Croatian War of Independence that resulted in the expulsion of a large number of Serbs from the Krajina region. Not exactly a feel-good moment in history.
So these Croatian fans were basically celebrating ethnic cleansing. That's fucked up.
It was a blatant display of hatred and intolerance, and it sparked outrage across the board. FIFA had no choice but to open disciplinary proceedings against Croatia for this incident as well.
FIFA taking action. Color me surprised. They're usually pretty quick to sweep this kind of shit under the rug.
The incidents with Kaka and Borjan were a stark reminder of the deep-seated ethnic and nationalistic tensions in the Balkans and how easily they can turn a soccer match into a political battleground.
It's a damn shame that something that's supposed to bring people together can be used to promote such division and hatred.
And let's not forget the pitch invasions. Some of those were pretty wild.
Bitch invasions. Oh yeah, I remember those happening.
Yeah.
What were they all about? Protests, drunken fans looking for their 15 minutes of fame.
A little bit of both, actually. One notable incident occurred during the Group H Portugal versus Uruguay match. A pitch invader carrying a rainbow flag stormed the field, interrupting the game.
Good for them. Someone had to stand up for LGBTQ plus rights in that oppressive environment.
But this invader wasn't just about LGBTQ plus rights. Their shirt also had the slogans, "Respect for Iranian woman" and "Save Ukraine." Talk about a multitasker.
Damn, that takes some serious balls. They were making a statement.
Then there was the pitch invasion during the Group D Tunisia versus France match. This time it was someone carrying a Palestinian flag.
The Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Always a hot-button issue, even at a supposed apolitical event like the World Cup.
These pitch invasions were brief, but they were powerful reminders of the political and social issues that loomed over the entire tournament.
It's like these bursts of reality kept breaking through FIFA's carefully constructed facade of a unifying and apolitical World Cup. Like trying to put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Exactly. FIFA wants to present this image of harmony and sportsmanship, but the real world has a way of intruding and reminding us that things aren't always so pretty.
Speaking of reality intruding, we can't forget the controversy surrounding Japan's second goal against Spain in their Group E match.
Ah, yes, the goal that had everyone screaming at their TVs.
I was one of those people yelling I thought the ball was clearly out of play.
It certainly looked that way. Kaoru Mitoma cut the ball back for Otanaka to score, but it seemed like the ball had crossed the goal line.
The Spanish players must have been losing their shit.
They were absolutely furious. But after what felt like an eternity, VAR confirmed the goal.
How the hell did they explain that one? Was there some kind of sorcery involved?
Initially, it was a head-scratcher. Some even claim that the images shown by beIN Sports, a Qatari-owned network to justify the decision, were manipulated.
Hold on, manipulated. Are we saying that the Qataris rigged the VAR to favor Japan? That's some next-level conspiracy shit.
That's what some people were suggesting. But FIFA later released additional footage that showed a tiny sliver of the ball was still on the line. Apparently that was enough to keep the ball in play.
So it was a ridiculously close call, and FIFA had to do some serious backpedaling to defend their decision.
This incident raised serious concerns about the transparency and accuracy of VAR, especially in such a crucial game.
Let's be real. VAR is always a clusterfuck. It seems like they're constantly changing the rules and interpretations.
It's a technology that's still finding its feet and causing a lot of headaches along the way.
Well, at least it gives us something else to argue about during the World Cup. And speaking of arguments, how about that crazy quarterfinal between the Netherlands and Argentina?
Ah, yes, the Battle of Lusail, as it's now known.
That game was pure chaos. Even I was screaming at the TV, and I'm usually pretty chill when it comes to soccer.
It was a match overflowing with tension and aggression right from the kickoff, culminating in a penalty shootout that sent Argentina through to the semifinals.
But let's be honest, the real story was the referee, Antonio Mato Lajos. That guy was like a loose cannon on the field.
Lajos's officiating was controversial, to say the least. He handed out a World Cup record of 18 yellow cards, including 2 to people on the benches who weren't even playing.
18 yellow cards. That's fucking insane. It's like he was trying to break a world record for bookings.
The match also erupted into a full-blown brawl between the two teams, sparked by an aggressive challenge from Argentina's Leandro
I
Paredes.
remember that shit. It was like watching a bar fight break out on the pitch.
Even Lionel Messi, who's usually as cool as a cucumber, got caught up in the mayhem.
Yeah, Messi was yelling at the ref and even got into a heated exchange with Dutch striker Wout Weghorst after the match. It was wild.
It was a night of pure drama and raw emotions, a stark contrast to the polished and sanitized image that FIFA tries to project for the World Cup.
FIFA wants the world to see the World Cup as a wholesome celebration of unity and sportsmanship. But let's be real, sometimes the mask slips and we see the ugly truth.
Right. It's a reminder that beneath the surface of this global spectacle, there are real tensions and passions that can boil over at any moment.
And speaking of real-world issues boiling over, we've got to talk about the Iranian protests.
You're right. The protests in Iran, which started after the death of Masa Amini, spilled over into the World Cup in a big way. It was a powerful reminder that sports and politics are often intertwined.
This wasn't just some sideline story. It was impossible to ignore.
In their first match against England, the Iranian players refused to sing the national anthem. It was a bold act of solidarity with the protesters back home.
I bet the Iranian government was shitting bricks when they saw that.
There were reports that the players were threatened by Iranian authorities before the match, but they stood their ground.
That takes some serious guts. Those guys are heroes for putting their necks on the line like that.
And it wasn't just the players. Iranian fans also made their voices heard. They were holding up protest signs and chanting slogans inside the stadiums.
I bet Qatari security wasn't too happy about that. They probably shut that shit down quickly.
They did their best. There were reports of Qatari authorities cracking down on Iranian protesters, confiscating signs, and even detaining some individuals.
So much for FIFA's supposed support of human rights. What a bunch of hypocrites.
The situation took another turn when the Iranian players sang the national anthem in their second match against Wales.
Wait, what? They sang the anthem after refusing to do so in their first match. Something's fishy here.
There was a lot of speculation that they'd been pressured or even threatened by the Iranian government, but whatever the reason, their decision divided Iranian fans, with some accusing the players of betraying the protest movement.
Damn. Those players were caught between a rock and a hard place. It's a no-win situation.
The Iranian protest became a constant presence at the World Cup, a reminder of the struggle for freedom and justice happening far beyond the soccer field.
It was a reminder that you can't separate sports from politics, no matter how hard FIFA tries. The two are always intertwined.
And it added another layer of complexity to a tournament that was already overflowing with controversy.
Okay, we've covered the on-field drama, the political tensions, but what about the stuff that went down after the matches? There had to be some juicy post-game controversies, too.
Oh, you bet. There are plenty of those, too.
Hit me with it. What kind of shit went down after the final whistle blew? So we spent the last 2 episodes talking about all the messed up shit surrounding the 2022 World Cup.
It was a shit show from start to finish.
Yeah. Corruption, human rights abuses, cultural clashes.
Yeah.
It was like a never-ending dumpster fire.
But underneath all the controversy, there were some genuinely good moments.
Okay, I'll bite. What are you talking about?
Well, for one thing, we saw some incredible displays of athleticism and sportsmanship.
True. The games themselves were pretty damn exciting.
We also saw moments of solidarity and activism.
Like the Iranian players refusing to sing their national anthem.
Exactly. They risked their careers to show support for the protests back home.
That was powerful stuff.
And we saw fans from all over the world coming together to celebrate the beautiful game.
Yeah, there were definitely some heartwarming moments amidst all the chaos.
So it wasn't all bad.
That was a mixed bag for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, what do you think is the lasting legacy of this World Cup? Will it be remembered as a triumph or a disaster?
It's too early to say for sure. I think the 2022 World Cup will be remembered as a turning point.
A turning point in what way?
It exposed the dark underbelly of FIFA and the problems with mega events like the World Cup.
Yeah, they can't hide their corruption anymore.
It also highlighted the power of athletes and fans to speak out against injustice.
True. We saw that with the Iranian protests and the support for LGBTQ+ rights.
So I think this World Cup will be remembered as a moment of reckoning for FIFA and for the world of sports in general.
I hope you're right. I'd like to think that some good can come out of all this mess.
I think it already has. We're having these conversations now, aren't we? We're talking about the issues that were swept under the rug for too long.
That's true. Awareness is the first step towards change.
Exactly. So I'm optimistic that this World Cup will ultimately lead to a more just and equitable future for the sport.
I like your optimism. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm hopeful. And hey, Even if FIFA doesn't get its shit together, at least we got some amazing memes out of this whole thing.
Yeah, the internet never disappoints.
Well, folks, that's it for our deep dive into the 2022 World Cup.
It was a wild ride, wasn't it?
A wild and often infuriating ride. But it's important to remember that these issues didn't start with this World Cup, and they won't end with it either.
We need to stay engaged and keep holding those in power accountable.
If you want to learn more about the topics we discussed today, check out the links in the show notes.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the world of sports and beyond.
Until next time, stay informed and stay pissed off.